Have you ever noticed? The older you get, the more you hesitate to be around people. There was a time when parties excited you. You could talk for hours with friends. But now, just the thought of forced smiles and recycled conversations already makes you feel tired. People say you're becoming cold. Family members think you're sad, withdrawn, maybe even lonely. But the truth is, it's exactly the opposite. You're not avoiding people because you're lonely. You're avoiding them because you've lived long enough to know what truly brings you peace. No one sees the silent disappointments, the friends who slowly faded away, the words that sounded kind but left a scar. And so, your heart learned to keep its distance, to protect itself. If you've been quietly stepping back from the crowd, I invite you to share below. What made you pull away from social life? Don't be ashamed. This isn't a flaw of aging. It might be the wisest choice you've ever made. This video won't tell you to be more social. It won't push you to act young again. Instead, it will help you understand yourself better. Why group gatherings no longer feel the same. Why you've started treasuring silence more than chatter. And why being alone might actually be when you're most yourself. And by the end of this video, I'll share a powerful truth that few people talk about. A truth that might help you feel more proud than ever about slowing down, being selective, and living authentically. There are 6 psychological reasons why people over 65 start to withdraw. Let's begin with the first one that often happens quietly, even without us realizing. Reason 1, the weight of old wounds. No one talks about this, but I will. The older you get, the less you trust people. Not because you've become bitter, but because somewhere along the way you've been hurt. Maybe you opened up and were left behind. Maybe you gave your all, then were forgotten. Maybe you trusted and were betrayed. It's not always the big heartbreaks. Sometimes it's the small cuts that repeat over and over. Until one day you stop opening up so easily. You become more cautious. You smile less at social gatherings. You listen more than you speak. And when you do speak, it's rarely from the heart. No one notices that shift on the outside, but inside, you've changed. You no longer give your time and emotions freely. Not because you're selfish, but because you know. Your peace doesn't belong to just anyone. Others might say you're distant, but only you know. You just don't want to be hurt again. This isn't withdrawal. This is wisdom born from experience. If this resonates with you, comment, "That's me too." So you know, you're not alone. Reason 2, you no longer have patience for shallow conversations. Have you ever sat in a crowd and felt completely out of place? Everyone's talking, but no one's saying anything worth hearing. The older you get, the more you value moments of silence, more than words that just fill the air. I remember when I was younger, I could sit through hours of chit-chat, gossip, prices, who did what, when, and why. I'd nod, smile politely, throw in a few comments just to keep things flowing. But now, 10 minutes in, and my mind's already wandering off. Not because I dislike people, but because I no longer need to fill silence with meaningless talk. These days, peace and quiet feel more precious than empty noise. Do you feel that too? I'd rather sit with a cup of tea in stillness than force myself through a loud gathering. I'd rather read an old book than pretend to laugh at stories I've heard 100 times. Does that make me difficult? I don't think so. I think it just means I'm finally returning to myself. If you've lost the patience for small talk, comment below. Me too. You might be surprised how many of us feel exactly the same. Reason 3. You feel unheard and misunderstood. Ever shared something important, and the person just smiled politely, then looked at their phone? They didn't insult you, they didn't interrupt, but somehow, you still felt completely invisible. I've been there. At a family gathering, I shared a story how I once worked 2 jobs to put food on the table. As I finished, my grandchild gave a polite nod and scrolled through their screen. In that moment, I felt myself slowly disappear. You know that feeling, don't you? When your words matter to you, but not to the listener. After enough moments like that, you stop speaking. Not because you have nothing to say, but because, what's the point if no one really listens? Over time, I shared less, attended less, and strangely, I felt lighter. Maybe you felt the same, sitting among people you love, yet feeling worlds apart. No one means to hurt you, but still, you quietly pull back to protect the softest parts of your soul. If you've ever felt forgotten mid-conversation, let me know in the comments. You're not alone in that silence. Reason 4. You're afraid of being a burden, even if no one says it. There's a quiet fear no one ever teaches you how to handle. It's the fear of being too much, even when no one says it out loud. So you start saying no to invitations. Not because you don't want to go, but because you don't want to be the reason someone else has to rearrange their day. I used to be the one people called when they needed help. I'd drive them, clean, babysit. If you needed something, I was there. Then one day, I injured my foot. Even the simplest task needed someone's help. And for the first time in my life, I hesitated to ask anyone over. No one told me I was a bother. No one refused to help me. But I still felt it, that quiet, nagging thought. Am I interrupting their life? I began turning down invitations, not because I didn't want to be there, but because I didn't want anyone to worry about me. Have you ever hesitated to make a phone call, not because you didn't care, but because you didn't want to be a burden? We used to carry our families. Now, when we need support, it feels unfamiliar, uncomfortable. If you've ever stayed home just so you wouldn't bother anyone, comment, I understand that feeling. Because trust me, you're not the only one. Reason 5. Old relationships fade without a word. Have you ever had someone who used to be close, but now they're just gone? No fight, no falling out, just silence. You look back and realize the people who once filled your days have slowly disappeared. One of my best friends used to call every week. Then it became monthly. Then nothing. No argument, no drama, just distance. At first I wondered, did I do something wrong? But eventually I understood. We're no longer the people we once were to each other. I like quiet now. They still love the party life. I go to bed early. They come alive after dark. Our rhythms changed. Our seasons shifted. Have you had people like that? It's not that you don't care anymore. It's just that you don't have the energy to maintain something that no longer fits. If you've ever let a friendship fade in silence, leave a speech bubble emoji in the comments. You might find someone else carrying the same quiet ache. Reason 6. Being alone isn't always lonely. Sometimes it's peace. There are moments sitting alone that feel warmer than any crowded room ever could. No forced smiles, no trying to fit in, no pleasing others. Just you, being you. And to your surprise, it feels whole. I used to think silence meant sadness, until one afternoon I sat on my porch, no TV, no phone, just the breeze and birds. And in that stillness, I felt full. I didn't need anyone to entertain me. I didn't need to explain myself. I was just there, and that was enough. Since that day, I stopped worrying about not being social enough, because I finally realized being alone doesn't mean you're lacking. Sometimes it means you've found what others spend a lifetime chasing: contentment. Have you ever had a moment like that, when solitude felt more peaceful than any celebration? If so, comment the word peace. Let me know that you too have found something sacred in the quiet. Final reflection. Can you see the thread running through all these reasons? They don't come from sadness. They come from wisdom, experience, and a deeper knowing of what truly matters. You're not withdrawing. You're returning to the most honest, grounded version of yourself. And if you're still here, reading these words, I invite you to share your truth in the comments, because somewhere out there, someone might need to read your story today. Final message. Dear friend, if you've made it this far, I want you to know something. You are not alone in these quiet changes happening inside you. You are not strange for wanting a slower life, fewer people, and deeper peace. And you are not lonely just because you prefer your own company. In truth, many people, just like you, are entering a new chapter of life, where noise doesn't excite, small talk doesn't satisfy, and peace becomes the most treasured thing of all. Pulling away from people doesn't always mean you're losing something. It might mean you're finally coming home to yourself. Growing older isn't just about reminiscing. It's about choosing wisely, living freely, and cherishing relationships that feel real, even if there are only a few left. So if there's one thing you should do now, it's this. Listen to your heart, respect your emotions, and make space only for what's real. Yes, there will be days when you feel invisible. Yes, you'll stop yourself from making calls you wish you could. But never forget, you have loved deeply, and you still deserve to be loved gently and truly. If anything in this video spoke to your heart, please let me know. Leave a comment. Even a single dot period is enough to say, I'm here and I feel seen. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. You never know. Your small action might lift someone else out of silence today. Thank you for spending your time here with me. I truly hope to see you in the next video.